The most powerful currency, traded and accepted in almost every part of the world, billions of trades and stock investments happening is now on the verge of decline. The countries have joined hands to ditch the US dollar and trade in their own currency to make things easy and affordable. Fed up with US sanctions, debts, and monotonous laws, this decision of boycotting the dollar has finally come. But what actually happened? How did the dollar weaken? Does this have something to do with the recent fall of the Silicon Valley Bank, or something else? Oh, by the way, if you haven't seen our detailed video on the fall of Silicon Valley Bank, then do check it out after this video. Coming up on the topic, in this video, we'll get to know the reasons why the rest of the world is ditching the dollar, how the dollar came and became the strongest currency in the world, its unlimited printing access, trades, and sanctions on other countries, and finally, the reason of its weakening. Chapter 1: Why the world is ditching the US dollar. The US dollar has long been the world's dominant currency, but its position is now being challenged as more and more countries look for alternatives. One clear challenger to the dollar is China's yuan, which is gaining increasing international acceptance. Beijing is actively pursuing a range of deals to promote the use of the yuan, including a recent agreement with Brazil to use their own currencies for trade. The deal, which will save costs and promote greater bilateral trade and investment, underscores the growing importance of currencies in driving commerce. China's efforts to internationalize the yuan have been steadily gaining momentum as the country seeks to build a large coalition of partners who will use the yuan instead of the US dollar. So far, Beijing has secured bilateral pacts with 41 countries with a total value of over $500 billion. These agreements are helping to boost the yuan's profile as a global currency, and the petro-yuan is also rising in importance. The petro-yuan refers to the use of yuan to settle oil bills similar to the petrodollar, and China is aggressively pushing for this to happen. It is finding takers in oil-producing nations such as Russia, Iran, Venezuela, and some African countries. Even Saudi Arabia, a longtime ally of the US, is said to be considering a switch from the dollar to the yuan. Although it is already known that Riyadh and Washington have had some differences and that the former is building stronger ties with Beijing, abandoning the dollar would be a significant step for the kingdom. The trend of countries looking to ditch the dollar in favor of their own currencies or alternative currencies is significant, as the dominance of the dollar has given the US an outsized influence on the global economy. A shift away from the dollar would have significant impact on the US and could hasten the rebalancing of the global economy. This trend is evident in other regions as well, with Brazil and Argentina considering the idea of a common currency for South America, and Southeast Asian nations losing patience with the US dollar and its sanctions and debts. African countries such as Kenya are also moving away from the dollar and using their own currencies for oil imports. In conclusion, the dominance of the US dollar as the world's reserve currency is facing a challenge from the increasing use of alternative currencies, particularly China's yuan. As more countries look for alternatives to the dollar, the global economy is likely to undergo a period of rebalancing, with significant implications for the US and other major economies. While it remains to be seen how this trend will play out in the long term, it is clear that currencies are becoming an increasingly important factor in shaping the global economy. The current scenario of a global rebellion against the US dollar prompts some crucial questions. Why is this happening now, and how did the dollar attain the status of the world's reserve currency? Chapter 2: How the dollar came in and became the strongest currency. The aftermath of World War II saw the world facing an economic crisis. To avoid another financial turmoil, 44 Allied countries met in 1944 at Bretton Woods in the United States. The purpose of the meeting was to create a system of rules to regulate and shape the global economy. The agreement led to the establishment of the International Money Fund, or IMF, and the World Bank. The Allies also agreed to a new exchange rate system where each country would peg the value of its currency to the US dollar. This decision gave the US dollar its dominance in the global economy. The Bretton Woods Conference granted the US immense power to rule the global economy. The two financial institutions created at the conference, IMF and World Bank, were largely controlled by America. Even today, these institutions are still powerful and continue to be led by the US. The US dollar, being the dominant currency, is still widely used both inside and outside the US. There are about $1 trillion in US dollar notes in circulation outside America. Roughly 40% of the world's debt is issued in US dollars, and almost 60% of the global currency reserves are in US dollars. Also, close to 90% of all foreign exchange trade involves the US dollar. Thus, the world economy has become highly dependent on the dollar. The most influential concept that the US has acquired to come to the top is Gresham's Law. What is Gresham's Law? It stated that bad money drives out good. After 1944, good money like silver and gold were replaced by the US dollar for trade, assets, and liabilities, thus making it the only possible currency to deal with everything. The reason behind this global rebellion against the US dollar is rooted in the political and economic dominance that the US enjoys through its currency. The dollar's dominance has given the US an outsized influence on the global economy, and a shift away from the dollar will hurt America. This will also hasten the rebalancing of the global economy. The creation of a new global financing system is an enormous undertaking, and it will not happen overnight. Nonetheless, the world's growing disillusionment with the US dollar is a significant development that cannot be ignored. The Bretton Woods Conference of 1944 created a system that has endured for over 75 years, but now it seems that the US dollar's dominance is beginning to wane. Chapter 3: Printing, Trade, Sanctions. After 1944, the US started printing cash in abundance to tackle inflation. This led to betterment in product affordability and an increase in product demand, and thus resulting in deflation, which kept the currency circulating. But how does this result in sanctions and trade if the dollar is balanced in the USA and increases its printing capacity? The foreign banks increase its currency rates, which automatically puts businesses under pressure to sell a product costing $1 in the USA and them selling it at $1.20 because of the increase in their currency. Using these conditions, the USA comes in as a fake help to weaker nations. They make offers that cost them their time and offer they couldn't leave off from their loans, thus imposing heavy sanctions and debts. Chapter 4: Reason for its weakening. While the value of the US dollar decreases in comparison to another currency, it is known as currency depreciation. For instance, if one US dollar is equivalent to one Canadian dollar, the currencies are said to be at parity. If the exchange rate fluctuates and a single US dollar is now equal to 85 cents in Canadian dollars, the US dollar has lost value concerning its Canadian counterpart and has therefore depreciated against it. Various factors can contribute to the depreciation of the US dollar, such as inflation, demand for currency, economic growth, export prices, and monetary policy. When the Federal Reserve implements easy monetary policies, investors search for higher yields in other countries, resulting in the weakening of the US dollar. Furthermore, declining economic growth and corporate profits can prompt investors to invest elsewhere. So now you know the reason of the fall of the mighty US dollar. But do you know what will be the repercussions to us? For that, subscribe to our channel, because the part 2 of this video will tell you that. If you liked our video, please share and subscribe to our channel. I'll see you in part 2. Thank you.